Hi, my name is Lisa Ward, and I am running for office in Alabama. Many times we fail to realize how critical exercising our voting rights are. We often see in our climate things that make us feel like our vote doesn't matter or count. I'm here to debunk that myth and tell you countless times a race was too close to call, and it could have been your vote that made the difference. State laws change, and while we are not paying attention, often they affect our voting rights. For example, there's a law in place that basically says if you don't use it, you lose it. But what does that mean? It means if you do not exercise your right to vote in two consecutive federal elections, the Secretary of State has the right to purge from the eligible voter registration database your vote. Now, for that reason alone, we don't want this to happen. Voting is a responsibility that we have to show interest in sustaining our freedoms of democracy in this country. And the moment that we stop caring about those fundamental rights, authoritarian government slides in and our voice is gone. Each generation owes this pay it forward effort to protect what others before us have provided us, and it is our responsibility to do the same for those after us. So I want to spend a few minutes explaining to you something that many might not have attempted to do before. I want you to understand how important all elections are, how critical knowing individual candidates are, forgetting about a straight ticket vote, and taking the time to hand select each candidate that has put themselves out there for public service. They deserve our effort to look at their name on that ballot and be counted. That happens when you color in their dot on election day. This is one way to prevent voter fraud and hindering anyone tempted to split your ticket by coloring in a circle that you might have overlooked. Let me give you an example of why all elections are vital, especially midterm elections. That is when people are not paying attention, but there are no electoral college votes interfering with our choices. It truly is one voice, one vote, and we need to take advantage of that. When you don't vote, you decrease the number of voters that are counted, and polling locations are reduced because of it. There is no need for them if there is no voter showing up to vote at those polls. One more thing, and this is just as an example of why your vote does count. In our climate today, for example, folks are not happy with many police officers and the job that they do. I hope you realize the sheriff you elect hires and determines the officers in your neighborhood. So that can be prevented by making sure that you know the leader of that department is worthy of our votes. So let's get started. I want you to understand what elected officials are responsible for and how their role affects your life. Shall we? Let's talk now about another important role. That role is the lieutenant governor. The lieutenant governor of Alabama is an elected constitutional officer as well. It is the second ranking officer of the executive branch and the first officer in line to succeed the governor of Alabama. The lieutenant governor is popularly elected every 4 years by a plurality and is limited to 2 terms as well. The lieutenant governor's most important duties, including acting as the successor to the governor and as the president of the state senate, which is the upper chamber. Alabama is one of only 5 states in which the governor and the lieutenant governor are elected separately and thus may be from different parties. The current salary is probably somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000 a year. So we need to also pay attention to that position.